Let's make sure that this is what I want it to be. Good enough? All right. So, um, well, actually, I just realized my online students don't really need to hear this. It doesn't matter to them. But since this is a hybrid course, like I said last week, technically my online students could come in and take this because it's not a separate class. They're technically in this class. It's just they get the notes through the video. Um, so, yeah, for you guys, ours is on Thursday. However, I will be here Wednesday and Friday if you want to come in Wednesday and get it done, or if Thursday doesn't work and you want to come in Friday. So, I'm here from 8:30 to 10:30.
I got, we both got Wednesday from math,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts at 8:30. We got 2 hours. Do you think we got enough time to do that?
If you'd like to, yeah.
You want to do that for me?
Yeah. If it takes y'all too long and y'all don't feel like doing it, that's fine. If you want to come in here, that's fine. I mean, I'm going to be here the whole 2 hours. I've got a ton of crap to grade, so I'm going to be busy. And yeah, no, you're more than welcome to come in any time in that 2 hour period. In fact, like if it's close to 10:30, but y'all want to come in and get it done anyway, I can stay after. Nobody uses this class after.
Yeah, plus I'm done like in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, this is not going to be any bigger than any of the other tests you've had. For my online students, it's just like usual, except I'm putting it up today because I usually give you guys a week, and I need it by next Monday. So for the hybrids folks that are doing it online, get it done. I can't extend it because I have to have the grades put in by next Tuesday. And just another reminder: tomorrow is reading day, but I'm still doing that movie day thing for extra credit if y'all want to come watch a couple of Cold War movies. Yeah, yeah, Connor, you really need the extra credit, you know. Not to tell your grades to the whole class, but you really could use some extra credit. Yep. Did you? Yes. All right. Anyway, that's it for the final, really. And again, it's not weight any different. It's not size any different. It's just another test. It just happens to be on exam day. Okay. Any questions about anything before we start? You guys good?
And I'm still going to get kicked out of class, right? Because I missed 2 days.
What? No.
Okay, because I'm just so scared what that woman told us at the beginning of the year. And I'm like, if it's 2 days,
No. It depends on the class, but the standard for at least Francis Marion is like it's 4 days because that consists of 2 weeks. Since this is a 2 day a week class, for me, I use the old Tri-County Tech model of 2 weeks in a row. So if you don't show up 4 class days in a row, are you even still in my class? But no, once you're back, I don't care. I feel like if you miss 2 of them, you get kicked out. That's like lab courses, like a biology lab or a chemistry lab, because you get those once a week, and you can sort of repeat them, but it's a whole process. And yeah, labs are kind of a nightmare when it comes to scheduling. So that's probably what that was about. No, you're not in any. Yeah, yeah, for the whole semester. Yeah, no, it's not many at all. Um, and then of course you have like some days are lab practicals, which are basically their tests, and that takes up all things. So that doesn't count really as a day.
For the chemistry lab here, really is just, you have we have lecture 3 times a week, and
Mm-hmm.
then in the week you have a lab in which is your lectures.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just that. Like this is the same time as the lab every time.
Yep.
And then the exam for it was just a competency like safety.
Yeah. Yep. 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 That's pretty basic early lab stuff. But yeah, that's usually where you'll run into the most stringent attendance stuff. I'm not really, I don't care that much. Like for my online students, obviously I can't tell when they're here, but I have like the discussion. Well, you guys are in that class, so you see, I'd have like the discussion days, and it's like, poke your head in once a week. Let me know you're here. Yeah, no worries. Especially not doing as well as you're doing. I don't feel like I'm gonna think, oh, she's not in my class anymore, so just drop her. No, you're good. Hey, Connor, you sure you don't want to drop, Connor? You're kind of.
I'm just because I have other events, okay? I had art field last week.
No, yeah.
We had to drag our Spanish teacher, who's also a pastor, down to the route. He loved the art.
The Rob is pretty nice.
Please look at Spanish art. And it's just straight cheeks on the wall. He loved it. Oh yes, I see it, Connor.
And by the way, we both got dogs because our school is doing senior assassin, but they come here with a water gun and we don't got any wind, we're out.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fun.
I got a story for the dog.
These are 25 cents. Really expensive.
All right, onto the key, so we can get you guys out of here. So, starting with the waves of colonization. Let's see, what do we have? Okay. I just gotta make sure we're not. Yeah. Okay. Great. Throw it on the ground. What term? Yeah. I've not done the key at all. What term would best describe the colonies created in the first wave of European colonization? So we had a specific term for the first wave of colonies.
Neo-Europe.
Yes, Neo-Europes. Like I said, you've been doing fine. Spellcheck does not like you pluralizing Europe. Let's see. What best describes colonies during the second wave of colonization? What word would we use for that?
Exploitation.
Yes. They were colonies for exploitation. And finally, what term best described the reasoning behind the third and final wave of European colonization? Excuse me.
Prestige.
Yes, it was all about prestige. It was all about, oh, well, we've got a colony, in the middle of Africa that we don't actually have anybody settled in because it's just a desert or a jungle. All right. What document ended the first wave by closing off the Western Hemisphere to European meddling?
Sealed off the Western Hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
The Monroe Doctrine.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Oh.
Monroe because Lindsay comes from Monroe, North Carolina.
Oh, Lord. I'll write that in a minute. Yes, the Monroe Doctrine. That's one way to remember it, I guess. On to India. What was the name of the native Indian soldiers in British employ, particularly working with the British East India Company? This was the name of the native Indian soldiers working with the British, particularly through the British East India Company.
Sepoys.
Yes, sepoys. Still in India, there was a major uprising against the British East India Company by both the Hindu and Muslim soldiers. What object was the cause of this mutiny? What was the reason why the Sepoy rebellion happened? Sepoy mutiny happened? On the back.
Grease cartridges.
Yes, the standardized cartridges. Okay. I'm just gonna. They're not even close. Stand. Just start over. Just start over. Standardized. All right. Great. I think that's it in India. On to China and Japan. What product did the British push on the Chinese in order to force open their trade to be more beneficial to the British? Yes. Opium. It took me a second. I'm like, oh no, yeah, she said opium.
It's just opium. There's no accent. It's opium.
What was the name of the American commander, I guess technically Commodore, who forced open Japanese trade, which in turn pushed the Japanese to modernize?
Commodore Perry.
Yes, Commodore Matthew Perry.
He's gonna have to do some studying.
He has his little Commodore hat. All right. Missionaries. Let's see. Who was the German missionary in Asia who adopted the Chinese language and dress and worked tirelessly to translate the Bible into both Thai and Chinese? So, German missionary working in China and Thailand.
Carl Gustav.
Yes. Carl Gutzlaff. Z? Yes. And I did, on the test, go back and like replace the A with the one with the little accent marks over it. So I was feeling particularly pedantic when I was grading this test. Who is the Englishman who went to Africa as a missionary, but is most famous for his mapping of the interior of the continent as well as getting lost? David Livingstone. And I think I have. Yes. Who was the British reporter who spent 2 years trying to find Livingstone and became one of the most sought after explorers during this time period?
Henry Stanley.
Henry Stanley.
Oh my goodness, my results were never falling behind.
That's terrifying.
I've had someone have a whole book about skinning you alive and learning what comes up in casting class.
That.
This makes me fucking nice French guy. Who's my classmate?
Yeah, I've had classmates like that. I've had coworkers like that.
Oh, these coworkers be pushing it.
What bad clothing place?
Granted, I mean he wasn't a security guard like I was. He was the maintenance guy, and he was special. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, one moves over. You're about to rip on his head. That's just us.
Um. All right. While advanced weapons helped, what was the anti-malarial drug that really pushed the colonization of sub-Saharan Africa?
Quinine.
Yes, quinine. Which European ruler kicked off the scramble for Africa with his own expansionist dreams? Which European ruler started the scramble for Africa?
King Leopold II.
Yes. There we go.
War.
Yep. Of Belgium. Not that you need to know that, but I'll put it in. It's multiple choice. I do like when students do that.
Yeah, you do get an extra point for that.
I like throwing around extra points sometimes. Did we have another? Oh, yes. Not all of Africa was going to go quietly, as the Italians found out in 1896. Which African country handily defeated the armies of this modern European nation?
Ethiopia.
Sorry, Italy. Yes, Ethiopia. No, you said Ethiopia. I was just saying Italy is often not doing so well militarily.
This week's class last week.
Yes, it was terrible.
Connor didn't listen to class.
I was very busy.
Oh, actually, since also Connor missed Wednesday, nobody was here Wednesday. I had to teach to an empty room.
Oh my goodness, why did you do that to him?
Where were you?
I was at my job. Oh my goodness.
I did post a video on Blackboard. My own student should have seen it because you're supposed to be watching the videos. But I definitely want you guys to check it out as well. It's not on the test, but I consider it like probably one of the most important things you could view as an American citizen. Like it's
Is that the one you showed the other semester?
yes,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So yeah, you guys would have probably seen it, but I posted it up on.
Pretty sure you showed it like the one in the semester last class.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I've done it before. As long as I've got online students.
Only two of us do it.
As long as I've got online students. My Tuesday, Thursday class, if nobody shows up, I'm just like, I guess I'm going home early. So. Right. On to Mass Society. Let's see. We started with. Oh, sorry. One more in Africa. I forgot. My bad. What very important wait, is that later? No. What very important canal through Egypt helped to tie Britain ever closer to India? Yes. I, for some reason, wrote the name of the river. What is wrong with me? Suez. Yeah. Yes, the Nile Canal that doesn't exist. Suez Canal. Do we have... It still doesn't talk about the Great Games, so I guess I'm going to also put this down here. This is kind of its own thing, but it's relatively related. What was the name of the... Oh, sorry. Between which two imperialist nations was the Great Game played? Yeah. Yes, Britain and Russia. Britain and Russia. This was Britain's Cold War. Minus the nukes. Just a lot of tea. Well, actually, since it was over India, it was opium. They didn't want Britain getting, or Russia getting into their opium stash. I don't know if India has the climate for tea growing. Mm-hmm. Um. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Um. What was the name of the nationalistic uprising in China, in which secret martial arts societies came together to try and rid the country of Western influence? This is just kind of a grab bag of stuff at the end of that chapter that I forgot to put in. This was the name of the nationalistic uprising in China, where secret martial arts societies came together to try and rid the country of Western influence. Yes, the Boxer Rebellion. The nationalistic uprising in China to push out the Westerners. This was their attempt at a Meiji uprising, or Meiji restoration. Didn't quite work out. Okay. Now this is the final one for this chapter. The name of the Dutch farmers in South Africa that the British fought against in 2 wars over an attempt to annex diamond-rich lands. So what's the name of... Yeah, the Boers. Boers. It's there. It's... Afrikaans is a weird language. Well, English is a weird language too.
I love referring to it as an exotic island.
Yeah.
It is an island.
So I wouldn't call it exotic. It's kind of gloomy and...
It's exotic. It's all about interesting stuff about it.
There's a lot of interesting stuff, I guess you'd say. All right. Anyway, finally back to chapter 21. The name of the first subway system, which helped London to grow at the turn of the century. Super original. London Underground. It's at least not the London Metro. So, you know. Yeah. We're just going to rename the thing we've already got. What was the major force behind the social mobility of the turn of the century Europe? Yeah, education. I don't know. I'm just going to toss this in here as well. The name for women, particularly in Britain, who pushed for the women's right to vote. Yeah, suffragettes. Because suffrage is the right to vote, and they were women agitators typically, so they were called suffragettes. And they broke a lot of legs. They didn't play around. Art and architecture. I don't think I actually have anything architecture-wise on this version of the test. Yes I do. I'm dumb and wrong. Okay. What famous painter broke with convention and created what we know today as modern art? Specifically, the painting I showed you guys by viewing his subjects in a distorted manner in order to capture the emotion of the people or event. Yes, Picasso. Pablo Picasso. The Spanish painter.
Which painter has adopted words?
Who? Oh, probably Monet.
It was the one that was. Was it
I feel like there might have been a couple of them.
It was the one that's like that got shot by a kid and then made it look like suicide so the kid wouldn't get in trouble.
I'm not sure. That part I don't know.
Face painted this way.
Well, that's up for debate.
It was Van Gogh. That's what it was.
Van Gogh. Okay.
He had one side.
Van Gogh was a troubled man.
They brought him to the future and brought him to his own gallery.
Ah, I do remember the end of that. I saw the end of that one. Who's the famous architect who wanted to do away with unnecessary ornamentation and design the Foggus factory? Yes, Walter Gropius. Walter. Awful name. Awful name. Yeah. What art form brought together... Wait. Do I have that? Nope. Brought together liberal France, especially Paris, and conservative Russia. What was the art that brought these two diametrically opposed groups? Ballet. Oops. Mm-hmm. This is part of the reason they allied before World War I. But also they were both afraid of Germany. You know, little things. All right. Cool. Social sciences. What social scientist worked on the disturbing psychological trends seen in crowds? Yes, Gustave Le Bon.
Benjamin Disraeli, the British Prime Minister.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they may have been time travel.
On to Marx and Engels. What economic group was the Second International Working Men's Organization founded for? Socialists. Although this was the time when they broke into democratic socialists and communists. But initially it's a socialist group. Okay, well, let's do this one and then I'll have a couple of the sort of extra ones at the end. Following the lack of legal representation in the Dreyfus affair, what movement began among the Jewish in Europe to look for a nation-state to call their own? Which has a very different meaning today. Zionism. Yes. This was... Woo. Didn't write it down. The lack of legal representation in the Dreyfus affair, which was the French army officer. This was the movement that began among the Jewish in Europe to have a nation state to call their own. So basically Jewish nationalism. All right, and a couple here at the end that don't really have like their own separate section. Let's see. Compared to iron and steam, what two materials powered the Second Industrial Revolution? Steel and gas, yes. Which country, where am I at? Which country was victorious in the Russo-Japanese War? 50-50.
Austria, Hungary.
No, they weren't involved in the war. It's the Russo-Japanese War.
What's the question again?
Who was victorious in the Russo-Japanese War? No. So, it's Japan. No, Japan beat the brakes off Russia. It was very one-sided. Is that it for that? Oh, no. Following the Russo-Japanese War, there was pressure to create a legislative body in the defeated country. What was the name of this national parliament? So in the country that lost the war, so not Japan, there was pressure to create a legislative body. What was the name of the national parliament in Russia? The Duma. Because they had the thing from like Ivan the Terrible's time, but nobody really used it. So this was a more egalitarian system. All right, on to the Great War. There were several entangling alliances that were the reason the war happened. What country was Germany allied with, which caused them to enter the war? No.
I was in a sleeping deprived state when I read that paper. It was Hungary?
Austria-Hungary, yes. Austria specific. What?
I would say that for the last one.
Yeah, you
No, because I can barely remember when I wrote that paper. Honestly, I had the paper in front of me. I had to complete other homework that same night as well, and I refused to sleep the night 2 nights before.
yeah, that's a fun night.
I don't remember.
What country did France ally with in order to contain Germany, which in turn pulled them into the war? So who was France allied with because they were afraid of Germany? Russia. Yes. And finally, which country's neutrality was Great Britain sworn to uphold, which caused them to enter the war alongside the Entente? Yes, Belgium. And I guess before we actually get to the spark, let's see. The name of for an entire country working towards completing the war, from a full draft to civilians taking jobs in munition plants, and even women being pushed into the workforce. Oh no. What was this idea called? Where the whole country is involved in the war. Um,
Is that Leve and Mouse?
no, that was Napoleon. Entire countries working towards the war, full draft, civilians taking job in munition plants, and women being pushed into the workforce. And I will say this, Connor, you probably know it, but it's not going to sound right because of how you know the term. Because it was the same for me. I learned the term not in history before I heard it used like this.
Is it, start with the all?
No. It's not a... It's English, I'll give you that much. It's a pretty... It's just a... I mean, technically it's 2 words. But it's when the country is... Yes. It's like all I can think are the Paradox games. But like that this doesn't apply to like the old games because like the Roman citizens didn't have anything to do when they were at war. They were just, farming and whatever. But it makes for a good, game series name. Okay, let's rip the Band-Aid off. Whose assassination sparked the beginning of the Great War in Europe? Yes. This is literally, it's also on my American history class. And I guess technically this is still leading up. Jesus. What region became the powder keg for the events that would lead into the Great War? Yes, the Balkans. If I can get this, there we go. Well, if I don't get the K and the N mixed up, that was weird. Well, I shouldn't say and, there's still other stuff. A minute. Okay. What was the name for the German war plan, which required that France be quickly captured so that troops could return to the Eastern Front? Yes, the Schlieffen Plan. Probably. Okay, one more. Well, no, sorry, 2 more for this section, and then we'll move into the southeastern front. At the first Battle of the Marne, the plan for a swift victory broke down, and the sides were forced into a stalemate. What sort of warfare evolved out of this? I think it was the most recent Helldivers Warbond, in fact. Yes, trench warfare. This is actually why my grandfather joined the Navy in World War II, because he's like, I know what happened in the trenches. I don't want to be involved in that. Put me on a boat. At least in the boat, you get a cot. In the trenches, you're in the mud. Like, absolutely not. And so he got his cot on a ship in the Pacific. There were many attempts to break the aforementioned stalemate. What was the offensive put forth by the British that had the enemy lines shelled for a solid week? Then the troops go over the top to get to the other side. This cost 600,000 men on both sides and only won the Entente 8 miles in 4 months. What was this offensive or battle called? Yes. Battle of the Somme. Like I said, I would have had a video for this one, but we were running out of time. But there is, like, literally, there's World War I archival footage on YouTube of the Battle of the Somme. That is what they sent back home, and everybody freaked out. It's like, oh, maybe we should not show our men getting shot. Okay. Southeastern France. What was the name of the straits that the Ottoman Empire was able to keep the Entente from capturing, preventing them from resupplying Russia? This was a pretty major theater of the war, or at least a major battle. Yes, the Straits of the Dardanelles. What group were all but annihilated in the Ottoman Empire after a failed push against Russia when the angry populace needed a scapegoat? Yes, the Armenians. This was, as I said, a particular genocide that Hitler often quoted when people were concerned about what was going on in Germany. He was like, no one remembers the Armenian genocide. It's fine. Okay, we have on to Russia then. Because of course there's stuff going on in Russia. Hey Connor. Who was Nicholas II's illiterate advisor who has one of the most famous and drawn-out deaths in history?
Don't worry, when you said Russia, the songs are playing.
Rasputin.
As soon as you started said Russia, I was like, it's a really catchy song.
Yes, it genuinely is, actually. Following the February Revolution in Russia, what socialist group whose name meant try this again. What socialist group whose name meant party of the majority pushed for more and more power against the provisional government? That's the Bolsheviks. They against the provisional government, which was the government that took over after Nicholas II abdicated. Because there was like a real moderate socialist government there for a little bit, and then the Bolsheviks pushed them out. But here in America, it's just the Bolshevik Revolution happened, and they're all commies now. It's like, yeah, let's just ignore the like horrific civil wars that they had in Russia that killed more people than the entire First World War.
I remember that very good version of
What was the deadly pandemic that spread at the end of the war, killing more people than the conflict itself? The Spanish flu. Yeah, but it was mutated in that it killed you a lot faster, and we didn't have vaccines back then. So you couldn't go get your flu shot. Pretty much.
most pandemics.
Yeah. Like, they had the flu before. This was a thing that existed throughout human history. And sometimes it would get bad and kill a lot of people, but because of the worldwide nature of travel, and especially the war, it spread like mad and was really worse than it would have been otherwise. Okay, a couple of things. Actually, you know what? I'll put this at the end. So, what was the date? So give me the month, day, and year that the armistice was signed that ended the Great War. What was Armistice Day in Europe? I believe is what they call it. You wear like a poppy, I think, in Britain, to to celebrate Armistice Day.
I know they call it Armistice Day.
Yeah.
Pretty sure kids would put it on Armistice Day.
Hmm.
November 11th.
Yes. What year? 1918. I hope you know the year.
2018.
Oh, that was a long war. Granted, we talked about the 100 Years' War last semester. So, you know,
What's your first time?
no, it would not be, especially in Europe. Okay. Although, granted, the nature of the conflict with like machine guns and stuff, the populace wouldn't have lasted 100 years. The 100 Years' War lasted because it was just like a bunch of dudes on horses roaming around the countryside and occasionally hitting each other. Okay. So the after-war events, who set up the 14 points which would try to create a more stable Europe? Wilson, Woodrow Wilson. Hey, look, we're back in my American history class. Rather than giving full self-determination, wait, no, hold on, let me move over here. What idea of the 14 points would set up a group for the great powers to join and administer, hopefully to avoid any future conflicts on such a massive scale? And because this thing worked out so well, we never had another war again. Yes.
Why are you trying to steal all my stuff? Insult me. What did I do?
It's
I
a,
don't even eat breakfast.
it's a little worrying.
I don't eat breakfast. I wake up and I come here.
I couldn't do that. I get headaches.
I don't eat breakfast either.
Rather than give full self-determination to countries they felt were unready to govern themselves, because we're still talking about the Europeans here, what territorial alternative did the aforementioned group, which is to say League of Nations, create? So what territorial alternative did the League of Nations create for regions that probably should have gotten their own countries, but the Europeans were like, oh, well, we know better. Mandates. There were a lot of these. A lot of these in the Middle East, which was totally a thing that was fine and normal and nothing bad ever happened. All right. You need to know a singular treaty. It was the treaty that Germany signed at the end of the war. Which one was that? Blah, 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 blah.
Isn't that, about what that man he built
It had the war guilt clause in it.
Versailles?
Yeah, Versailles. It's French, so you don't pronounce most of it. I have had students, because obviously we talked about the Palace of Versailles earlier in the semester. I have had students answer with like that as Versailles. I'm like, you know what? That's fine. I'm not taking any points off.
I mean,
That's
you're not just going to so.
yeah. I've had students just VRS. It's like
We're talking about anything else.
it's like that's fair. That's close enough. Okay, there is one more event that we talked about at the end of the chapter. So after the war, the remains of the Ottoman Empire in Greece had a dispute over Istanbul. What was the name of the nationalist Turkish leader, because I cannot pronounce the Greek one, who repelled the Greek armies? Yes, Mustafa Kemal. I'm going to say, because if anyone had been here for that particular lecture, I tried to pronounce the Greek leader. I couldn't. I just...
How would you describe him? Greek leader?
The Greek leader who... he was more of a statesman. He wasn't like a military leader like Kemal was. but he is compared to Kamal in this. They had like a trade of population, basically. If you're trying to find his name, so you can see what it looks like. It ELEFTH, yeah.
Let's see. Eleftherios Venizelos?
Maybe, yeah. That looks more better than I could have done it.
Probably Eleftherios Venizelos.
That works. He's not important. He's on to the test.
The FTH kind of blends together.
The FTH blends together, and it hurts my brain.
Yeah, I had to learn how to pronounce words like the mono-ultramicroscopic with other things in English, so it's...
I'm on supercalifragilistic.
Are you sure you learned it?
She learned it. It's just it's not
Do you
coming.
know a description of it? Do you know why each term means each what?
That's why it means supercalifragilistic.
It's a tongue twister. That's it. So, and then of course, multiple choice at the end, as usual. But, okay, actually, I will give y'all another option. You can take it online if you want, because it's a hybrid course. Because I can't hide it from you guys. Usually, for the people that are here in person, I just don't post it, so you guys won't have extra crap on your Blackboard. But it won't let me do that now because Blackboard's been dumb. So you guys can take it online if you want. Granted, you have to have a working webcam because,
Yeah, I'll just do it in person.
and then you have to also download the Respondus crap. So, like,
Because I have to use Google Chrome when I use the Google Chrome.
so yeah, if for some reason you're not able to make it in, you guys do have the option of doing it online. And as I said, the online people, the six of them,
It's easier to drive here than do all that stuff.
it is, honestly. And I'm in Florence, and I'd rather just drive here.
10 minutes away. It's not that far.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my grandmother lives in a country.
Freaking Brent, though, he's like 5 minutes down the road. He comes in on the golf cart.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, come on, man. The IT guy.
Oh, the man to be up there? I had him for my test, he was watching for my test. I think he wants to know what I'm at. I'm gonna just go tell him, he wants to know kind of.
Probably not. He was just proctoring. Oh. Oh. Anyway, yeah, you online folks, get it done, because I'm going to put it up here in a little bit, and you've got a week.